Hello again everybody, and welcome back to Fujit's Blitz with me, Fujit. Hello. The time has come to deal with this little beastie. That's right, the Russian, or USSR, Tier 10 Heavy, the IS-7. And we've already looked at the IS-4, and we've looked at the T-57 Heavy, and we've looked at the M6 so it was about time we got onto this little beastie. And what a beautiful tank the IS-7 really is. Now you'll see there in Russian Cyrillic it says IS-7, and as I said in the IS-4 video, it actually stands for Joseph Stalin 7, but don't let me confuse you. It's not a backward N and a C, it's actually a I and an S. So this tank, what's it all about? Well, it's always been a decent tank, not gonna lie, it really has. Some people have sort of found it a little bit meh, but a good friend of mine, Jory12, he's always sworn by this tank. He's rolled out in tournaments in it before it became a staple in the tournament scene. And now it is a staple in the tournament scene. But why is that? Well, it's recently had quite a lot of loving given to it by Wargaming. And when I say quite a lot of loving, I mean quite a lot of loving. This is not the tank it used to be. I mean, for one, its armour on the sides and on the front have always been pretty trolly. I mean, this is all spaced armour down this side here, so it's always been pretty difficult to hit it with like heat or HESH or HE. But Wargaming have sort of trolled it out a bit more, and this armour down this side now is incredibly trolly. The other thing is, I mean, the pike nose, if you over-angle it, then it's a problem. If you keep it straight on, then it's a beautiful tank, and we'll see that in the armour profile. But not going to lie, since it's had its buff, this is a formidable machine. And if you're not playing it, you have to scratch your head and ask yourself the question, why am I not playing it? So let's have a look at its Blitz stars. So this is its tank compare type stuff in Blitz stars, and as you can see I've got it lined up against the WZ113, the 215B, the E5 and the IS4. Now I picked those tanks for a reason, and the reason being is that they've all got pretty similar type of alpha damage. There's no point me showing you an E100 or VK72 because their alpha damage is like pretty big. You compare those to the likes of the 60TP. There's no point me showing you the 57 Heavy because it's an autoloader and you need to stick that in with the likes of the AMX50B, the Kranwagen and the Yo. So I've picked these tanks primarily because they are, in real terms, similar to the IS-7. Now automatically you can see the IS-7 struggles with DPM, and it really does struggle with DPM. And the reason being is because of its very long load time. I mean, the reload time is close to 11 seconds. And you'll see there, by far, that is the biggest load time of any of those tanks that I selected. I mean, you've got the WZ113, which has got insane DPM, by the way. It's just over 7 seconds. You've got the 215B at 8 seconds, the E5 at 9 seconds, and the IS4 at 9.5 seconds. So the IS-7 really is pushing the boundaries there. But, look at its penetration. It's knocking out 260, which is better than any of those other tanks on its standard ammunition. The same with the alpha damage. It is knocking out 460. I mean, none of them come close. The 113 and the IS4 knocking out 420, and the E5 and the 215B knocking out 400. So whilst its rate of fire and its reload isn't the best, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck, so to speak. The caliber is 130. That goes to show you why you're getting that much more alpha, that much more penetration, and why it's taking so long to load. And the shell velocity isn't that massive, but none of the Russian tanks realistically have massive shell velocity. Moving down, you can see that its aim time is not the best. I mean, it's comparable to the IS-4 because they both got Soviet gunners. Now, the dispersion is not great, and as I keep telling you, the dispersion is on the reticle, how far that round will travel within that reticle. And this is 0.362. So there's 0.362 of a variance as the shell goes down the range, basically. And you can see it's the worst out of all of them. It's the worst with the gun depression, with the exception of the 113 and obviously the IS4, which is comparable. But now you're starting to see where the IS7 really comes into its own. I mean, this is a big, lurking, heavy tank, yet it's churning out 50 kilometers an hour going forwards. That is the same as the 113, a much lighter tank. I mean, just compare the weight here. The weight of the IS7 is 67.7 tons. Compare that to the 113 at 44.6 tons. Then you start to see what really sets the IS7 apart. To have a heavy tank go that fast with that much mobility, wow, that really does make a massive difference. Now you can see here that the engine power is 1,155. Compare that to the 113, which is 825. But the 113 is actually a very lighter tank. It's a much lighter tank. It's just got a really bad engine. And you can see here that the effective power to weight ratio isn't that great. I mean, it tips the scales against the likes of the 215B, but the 215B is slowly hurtling along at 34 kilometers. So, it's just the way it is. But the 215B has a better gun insofar as its aim time, its load time, and how well and how accurate that gun is. Moving down, you can have a look at the camo profile. Not that great compared to, well, they say this, but it's actually exactly the same as the IS4. It's much better than the 113. It's the same as the 215B, and it's better than the E5. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a heavy tank and it's not that great. Now, looking at the credit coefficients, it's better than the E5, not as good as the IS4, but as good as all the others. Hit points, well, it has by far more hit points than the others, apart from the IS4 with 2,500. It's got slightly less view range than the 215B, but it does have better armor, with the exception of the turret armor of the IS4 and frontally and the E5. But look at the win rates. The IS7 realistically is knocking out some fantastic win rates here. I mean, you can see automatically it's knocking 55% win rate, and there's 12,000 players. Compare that to the other tanks. I mean, the closest is the 113. Now, the 113 is doing more damage, it's getting more damage ratio, it's getting more kills, it's getting more spots, but it's not surviving as long, and that is a big thing. So let's have a look at this trolley armor that everybody is talking about. So this is it facing off against its brother, the IS4 in Armor Inspector. And as you can see already, it's a big red tomato. And if you look at it frontally like this, then you're not penning anything on these slopes. Okay, you can get a little bit down there and you can get that, but the IS4 doesn't have the gun depression to get that. In fact, hardly any tank does. But look what happens when you try to over-angle this thing. When you over-angle it, all this then comes into play. And this is what a lot of IS7 players really make the mistake. They think they can over-angle and do things like that, and it just doesn't help their cause, because that pike nose only works realistically front on. Okay, you've got to be front on. If you wiggle this thing, look, it changes. Now, Armor Inspector doesn't really show you, but all this is troll, okay, in the game. All this side armor. And if you look at the game, if you look at the tank generally in the game, it will look like this. And, you will get 9 times out of 10, all these will, you're putting shots into it and it will bounce. And this is the thing about the IS7. The other thing is, it's got a pretty solid backside. Not when it's front on like that, but when you're sort of moving across, people are aiming for it, and it's just going to auto bounce. This is the thing about the IS7. Now, it hasn't got the best gun depression. It's only got 6 degrees, and that's what it probably looked like with 6 degrees. And as you can see, the front of it, if you're stupid enough to stick your nose up like this and expose that bottom plate, you're just going to get penned every time. And this is the thing about the IS7. It's a beautiful tank. It really, really is. But it's not the easiest of tanks that people get on with regard to this frontal armor, because if you look at it, if you're side scraping across, if the building happens to be sort of here and you're side scraping, then you're opening the pike nose. if the building is on this side, sorry, where am I? If the building's on this side, okay, and you're side scraping, then the chances are you're going to be okay. But it's not the best side scraper because of that pike nose. You've got to be very mindful of that. Anyway, let's jump into a few games and let's see how the tank actually performs. So here we are on the new Mac Molenbeek, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly sort of endowed with this map at the moment. I'm still getting to grips with it. I'm still trying to learn which way to go and what the best routes are. But, you know, I'm going to go this way and try and give the IS7 a bit of a run for its money. Now the thing is, and I'll forewarn you now, this game is a loss, but I'm going to show it to you anyway because you need to see what the IS7 is actually capable of doing. Now, I did actually tell the team to sort of go this way. They decided they didn't want to go this way, although, you know, a couple of them are coming with me. Well, one of them is coming with me. And I'm anticipating some traffic down this route. And we do finally get some traffic in the form of a Yo in a moment. He will pop out of the other side. There he is. So we're going to give this guy a bit of a hard time, as you do. And this is why I like the IS7. I mean, at the moment, I'm sort of side-ish on because the side armor is trolled. Now, guys, I'm keeping the turret over and above. Okay, and I've turned the turret, so he's seeing a lot of red in that turret. I'm going to chase him around. Unbeknown to me, there's a big tank over there that's going to smack me, and he does. Now, to be honest with you, even with that smack from the Jaegeru, we were never going to win this game, as you will see later. I'm going to carry on giving the Yo a hard time, and as you can see, the IS7, it's got a long reload time, but it's got a lot of decent damage being output there. We finally get rid of the Yo. We've lost 2 tanks already on the other side of the map. Now we've lost 3 tanks, so our backs are against the wall here. Now, as I said in my video the other day about bad teams, bad games, blah blah blah, this isn't necessarily a bad team, it's just a bad game. So what I'm now focused on is trying to get as much damage as humanly possible. I know we're not going to win. It's 3 against 6. It's just never going to happen. There's Hazo there in the Jaeger room. Not going to be able to shoot him, unfortunately. I'm worried about the E50, so I'm worried about being rushed by him. I've still got pretty decent amount of hit points. Not much I can do about anything at this moment in time. How that bounced, don't know, but it did. However, somebody else takes him out, so it was the 114 actually. But we're still backs against the wall. Now maybe I can get something into the E100. Yes, I can. He goes down. We're slowly bringing it back. Okay, we've only done 1800 damage. We're not going to be setting the world on fire here. But you can see what the IS7 is capable of doing. It is capable of having a bit of fun. Now, had we have not YOLO rushed into the city, chances are the game may have gone a little bit differently. But we did, and it isn't. Now we're up to 2.2k. We've only bounced 350. Okay, the reload time is 11.5 seconds, so it's pretty long when you think about it. But we're going to give this E50 as much a hard time as we can. 2.6k now. We're not going to win, as I said. Got Patrick here from Reti. He's a good player, he's a pro player. Not much I can do about him, apart from plonk one into his side. Do 3k, it's now me against the world. I ain't going to be doing anything here. I've got too many tanks around me. I don't even get the last shot in. But as you can see, we did 3,000 damage. We bounced 700. We gave it a good go. And that's all you can ever ask. And that's what the IS7 is capable of doing. It's capable of doing, 3,000 damage without really breaking into a sweat, to be fair. And as you can see, we're top damage in that game, not because we played it spectacularly. It's like just the way it works. So now we're rolling out on Faust. And I've got a suspicion that some of their tanks are going to come this way. So that's why I'm going this way. And, to be honest with you, they do send some tanks this way. They send a Chieftain Mark 6, which he popped up at the last minute. I've been spotted. He may be able to luckily get a shot into me, but hopefully not. No, he won't, and I can't get one into him. And now I can see a Super Conk, so I don't really want to be here with the Super Conk. I'm going to take a shot from the Mark 6, mainly because I don't want the Super Conk to get this hill, not with his hull down capability. So that's why I rushed up there. I'm trying to drag him over, knowing that I've got a little bit of support behind me in the form of the 60 TP. However, Super Conk doesn't come over the top. So this gives me the opportunity to maybe put some shots into him. He's there. He's trying to get his gun down. It's not going to work for him there, so I can get some side shots in. 500. Nice roll into the side. I can see the Mark 6 come around. And see that as you do that, you turn the armor face on and you'll get those bounces. And that is what you need to do. Same there with the Mark 6. Keep the nose face on. Let the pike do the work for you. Now, I'm probably going to take a shot here from the Mark 6. I'm not overly interested now in the Super Conk. He's literally got 1 HP. And that's why I'm ignoring him. As I said, the rear of this tank is quite trolly, and that just goes to show how trolly it is. Problem is, I mean, the 60 TP is there as well, and he doesn't really want to use that big alpha derp gun, but unfortunately he did. I'm going to now try and plonk one into the Mark 6, and again he gets that troll bounce. So we've bounced 1600 here, we've knocked out 1900. The 60 TP takes down the Mark 6. We're going to carry on pushing. We've saved quite a lot of hit points. It's 4 against 6. We have got the upper hand. It's now 3 against 5. We've still got the upper hand. I want to try and put some pain onto this E3. The E3 is going to be easy to pen me, because for me to go up here, unless he ammo racks me, however, he's not going to waste all my HP. But for me to go up here, I'm going to be on a flat ground. I'm not going to be able to sort of hide that bottom plate, and he's going to be able to pen me. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to get one into his side, try to track him. I do. Now I'm trying to come round, but he repairs his track, so I sort of decide against that. He is effectively a 2-shot, so can we get one into him, and can I out DPM him? I don't know. There's only 2 tanks left. He's 169. We've done 2.8k. I'm about to finish him off here, and come on, somebody else steals the kill. There you go. Doesn't really matter. We win the game. We did our job, and that is why I like the IS7, because those are the sort of games you can have with it. It's not setting the world on fire. It's not amazing, but it is enough to do what you need to do. That's what I think anyway. And like I said in some of my videos, it's, you know, the idea of this video is not to show you how good I am. It's to show you what the tank can do in a normal every game scenario. Look, even the top players don't roll out every time in the IS7 and get an ace or get 6k damage. Okay, so just put that out of your mind. So this is the last game here in the IS7, and we're on Naval Frontier. And from this spawn, which is the north spawn, I like to sort of go around this way in my heavy tank. Now, some like to cut across over the middle, but I like to go into this corner and try to get decent positioning to put some pain onto the enemy. Now, I'm expecting their heavy tanks and maybe their light tank to come this way. And already I can see there's a 60 TP and there's a VK. So far, so good. I'm going to roll around a little bit more and see if we can get one into him. Yes, we can. Nice 501 roll. So we get a nice high roll there onto that 60 TP. I'm not going to move too far from this position. Now, I'm looking at the mini-map, and my team has basically camped around the base area. There's a bat chat. I'm going to wait for him to come up. I'm going to pre-aim him. There we go. Get another nice 500 odd roll straight into the top of the bat chat. Now, I have to point out, when I played these games earlier, I absolutely had shocking ping on EU server. I mean, my ping spikes were just terrible. And I was on the second cluster, which I'm very rarely on. Maybe can we put another one into the bat chat? Yes, we can. And there we go. Already, we've fired 3 rounds and we're already at 1,530. And we've not really suffered, to be fair. Not really. So the bat chat is going to probably yellow me. Let's put one into the side of him though. Another 533. Really nice. Now we're up to 2k. I'm on a long reload. Bat chat. I've got to try and put my front to his gun, and we do. We get the bounce. He's going to be too quick for me to turn. I tried to snap him. Doesn't work. So not interested in the VK. Somebody else can finish him off. I'm not really interested in the bat chat, because I know that somebody can finish him off, but I'm going to chase him round because I want to go to where the cap is. So you know where the A cap normally is, up in that top there? That's what I'm heading for. I'm heading for that because I can see that we've lost more tanks than they have, and they are capping, which is a huge mistake for them. Now, I was hoping the grill on the other team was going to stay there. I load my HE just in case. But he doesn't stay there. He comes forward. I haven't got the gun depression, so I'm going to wait for him a little bit, and then I'm going to jump on him, because why not? Yeah, why not? It just seems a good idea at the time. Now we should be able to put shots into the side here of these tanks, and the 60 TP is the prime target. Boom, down he goes. So 2.7k, we've only bounced 310, but we've taken 2 kills and we've knocked out 2.7k. Now we're going to push on to the 183. Why? Well, he's got the longer reload and he's the closest one to push. To be fair, the only reason, that's the only method to my madness here. So they're both going to hit me for 6, but it doesn't matter. I've got all my hit points realistically. So now we're just going to finish off the FV. Somebody's already finished off the other TD, finish off the FV, finish on 3.3k. We only bounced 310, took 3 kills, and we're probably going to get maybe a second class in this one. I think it is a second class actually. But that's not the point. I mean, the point of the game is to win. Okay, now, like I keep saying to everybody, if you're just infatuated with those golden M's and that big damage, then unless you're a super duper unicorn, the chances of you doing that are going to be few and far between. Now, super duper unicorns will knock out those big damage derp games, you know, more often than not. But us average players, you're not going to get those big damage derp games. They are going to come around once in a while. So, you know, be realistic and manage your own expectations. Aim for, you know, winning the game, and then your win rate will go up. Simple as that, realistically. Anyway, well, that has been my video on the IS7. I've been Fugit. By all means, comment and everything below, because I want to know your thoughts on this tank. This tank is just an amazing tank, to be perfectly honest with you. And once you get used to it, once you get used to its little foibles, once you get used to knowing how the armor on this thing works, because it's really trolly, once you get used to that long reload, and to be honest with you, not the best of aim. I mean, the gunner on this one, sometimes he's a little bit sort of merry on his vodka. Once you get used to all that, it's a massively beautiful tank. And if you don't have this tank in your garage, you need to start asking yourself the question, why don't I have this tank in my garage? Why am I not playing this tank a lot? What am I missing out on? Because boy, you're missing out on a shed load, believe me, you really are. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful tank. It's the mother of all tanks at the moment in tier 10. Well, I think it is anyway. And as I said, if you're not rolling out in this thing, then you need to ask those serious questions, because it is a very nice tank. Now, it used to be the IS-4 was the heavy of choice for the Soviet tier, or the Russian tier, whatever tier you want to call it. It's actually USSR. But that's changed. I mean, the nerf that the IS-4 got has been replaced by the buff that happens to be, such a horrible bounce, that happens to, in this T-57 Heavy, is like next to no win rate, and he's just blocking me, which is really annoying, because I lose HP because of it. And then he steals the kill, and he's still blocking me, and I'm still losing HP, which is really, really annoying. But anyway, as I was saying, I mean, since this thing had its buff, it's just realistically unstoppable. Now, is it broken? That's difficult to say if it's broken or not. The armor is troll. The gun is the gun. I mean, you can see here, I mean, the aim time and the dispersion isn't the best, but it's still a beautiful tank. And the buff has just made it, you know, it's like the icing on the cake for this thing, because there really is a lot of icing on the cake with this tank now. And that's why I love it, and I think it's a brilliant tank. And I really do believe that if you've got it, you should be exploiting it, because it ain't going to be like this forever. I can assure you of that. At some point in time, Wargaming will tinker with this tank. Maybe it is in update 9.1, which is in about like a month and a half from now, or maybe it'll be at a later date. Either way, they will tinker with this tank, and they will tinker with this tank to the point where it's not like this anymore. So do yourself a favor, roll out in it now, get used to it now. Don't YOLO rush in it. Take your time, get used to it, and just just enjoy the tank for what it is, which is a really beautiful heavy tank. Anyway, I've been Fujit. As I said, that's been the IS7. Thanks for watching, guys, and until the next time, stay safe out there, have fun on the battlefield, and happy tanking, because that really is what it's all about, having fun and being happy.